All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you once again, everyone who has joined us for today's webinar. This is our Faculty Spotlight webinar. We're so thankful to be joined by our program chair, MP, who will be joining me here in a second. Today's webinar will be going over aspects of the program, as well as a deep dive conversation with MP about the entrepreneurship profession, the field, as well as what our classes offer, what our program offers, and the unique aspects of the program that can really put you in a position where not only are you able to really expand your overall skill set as a business thinker and as a business leader, but also put yourself in a position to further your network, potentially meet future investors, future employers, put yourself in a position where you're able to really test your ideas, and then ultimately potentially win some of our contests that are based around building out a business plan and pitching your ideas. So we'll have more information about that here to come. Just to kick things off with a quick outline of what you can expect to learn about today. We're going to have a conversation here in a second with our program chair, MP, who will share his thoughts about the program and about the field of entrepreneurship. We're going to do a quick overview of the Jake Jobs Center for Entrepreneurship, what we do here at CU Denver, what you can, what sort of access you'll have through our center. Go quickly through the entrepreneurship master's level program structure, as well as a curriculum breakdown, so you can see kind of what is available for you from a class standpoint, from a programmatic standpoint. We'll talk a bit about the networking and mentorship opportunities that are available through our overall advisory council and through communications with our entrepreneurs and our network of entrepreneurs here in Denver, who are able to introduce you to great opportunities and provide excellent feedback and insight into your own overall development as an entrepreneur. And then we're going to talk about tuition and scholarships and what possibilities there are for students to gain funding for the overall program. We'll go through the application, and I will take questions that you all have at this point in time. So without further ado, I want to welcome our program chair, MP. MP, are you able to come on?
Yeah, I can hear you, Brian, but I can't share my video. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
There we go. There we go. How are we doing, MP?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing very well. Happy Tuesday to you.
I would like to also welcome everybody on this show tonight, and I'm excited to answer questions that you might have. And I mean, I'm hoping that we can also open it up to others to ask questions, maybe at the end of our conversation.
Absolutely, yeah, we can absolutely do that. We've got some students here who I've spoken with who I know are applying for the program and are eager for information. So we'll definitely open the Q&A. If throughout this conversation, if there are any questions you all have out there, don't hesitate to throw them in the chat. And I'll ask them as we're going through the conversation here so we can get a little bit of a back and forth in the discussion. But to kick things off, you know, the big question on the table here, why, in your opinion, should a student enroll in CU Denver's MS Entrepreneurship program?
Oh, the answer is easy. It's the best program around. It's by far the best MS program, I think, in the country. And of course, given that I designed the program, I mean, you would expect me to say that, but let me explain why. Okay. So remember, I myself am an immigrant to this country. I came here many years ago with very little money. I'm very aware of the fact that higher education is becoming far removed from reality. So we actually need degrees that are reasonable in terms of cost, that are reasonable in terms of the education that they provide, that the education is meaningful, and that is modern in the sense that it's flexible, it's experiential. That to me was the most important thing, that, we can learn only so much in the classroom because we can learn the theories and so on in the classroom. But I learned if I look back at my career, where did I learn the most? I learned the most by hanging out with brilliant entrepreneurs here in Denver. I mean, they are some of the smartest people around. And, it was very interesting to me as to how they would apply the theory. And most people think that entrepreneurs just do it and they're not thinking of academic theories, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The good entrepreneurs went to business school. They did an MBA or the master's, and they assimilated a lot of knowledge, and they're applying it. And they're in phenomenal position to tell us how they apply that knowledge. So for me, the best degree would be something that is flexible. The modern student, we get students from everywhere in the world. We get students in different stages of their career, including people who have retired and are thinking of starting a business. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that our program has to fit everybody. So, and that's why when we designed the program, we said it'll be affordable, relatively. So compared to other schools nationally that are also high quality ASCSB ranked, we are one of the least expensive. That's important to me. Secondly, we are I think the only school at CU Denver, especially, and if I'm not mistaken, not only in Colorado, but in the Front Range, that offers a stackable, customizable, and multidisciplinary degree. That's the only degree of its kind, I think, in Colorado for sure. So it's stackable in the sense that, you don't have to take the whole degree. Take 2 or 3 courses, get started, see if you like it. And if you like it, then, we'll give you a certificate anyway after 3 courses. And if you like it, go on and do the full degree. And maybe you don't like it. Maybe higher education is something that's daunting and it's expensive and you feel that you can't finish it. In that case, go out, get a job. You'll form networks while you take these 3 classes, and you'll get a lot of experiential support, typically enough for you to get a job or an internship and go get a job. And then if you succeed, in your career, you can always come back and finish the degree later. And so that stepwise approach is very important to make it accessible. The other thing is you can do it in person, you can do it online, you can do it as a hybrid. So we have a lot of flexible formats, and you can do it in 1 year if you'd like, or you can do it over 5 years. We also are the only program that has dual degrees, and we're going to have an increasing number of dual degrees, one with information systems and another one with, SPA, which is School of Public Affairs. So you don't get so many options anywhere else, and that's why this is the best degree.
These are all very good reasons. The flexibility, the experiential aspect of it. I want to ask, you mentioned, in your past, knowing people who were successful entrepreneurs who went to get a higher education degree. They went back typically for an MBA. There are a lot of options out there for a student to get a higher degree, focusing on business, really thinking about theory before they even apply it from a practical standpoint. What is it about a master's in entrepreneurship that you see differentiates itself from, say, a traditional MBA or a marketing master's or something else within the larger business world?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I mean, I think if you look at the great innovative companies in the world, like the Googles and the Amazons, they're all entrepreneurial. Right. They all like to think small, and the one thing they value the most is the entrepreneurial mindset. How do you actually think holistically about all aspects of business sharply without wasting resources? So it's sort of different from an MBA program because there's very little waste. An MBA program, you have lots more classes. It's a 45 credit hour degree at a minimum. That means you got to take 15 hours to get the degree. With an entrepreneurship degree, you get the whole degree in 10 classes. But those 10 classes are pretty focused. So the advantage is you spend less money, you spend less time. And most MBA programs don't give you the networking and the resources and the experiential support that an entrepreneurship program will give you. So it's really important to take advantage of the many resources and events that we have. One of them is the climb competition that's coming up. So I would invite all of you, if you happen to be in Denver, to please attend it as our guest. And we'll be happy to send you an invitation. And then we have many other programs like our venture fund. So we actually invest real money in real businesses, and it's the students who do it. So basically, it's run by students under supervision by a VC. And that is an experience you don't get anywhere else. So we have all these different experiences, consulting programs, I mean, networking opportunities, several consulting events that lead up to the climb, for example. And I think this summer, we are also starting an incubator, and we're going to be having more accelerators and incubators integrated with the curriculum. So if you do an MS in marketing, you're just going to the classroom and then attending classes and then graduating and hoping you're going to get a job. It's not stackable. It's not flexible. It's not cross-disciplinary. And it's not experiential. And then I think perhaps the most important thing, which I wish I had and I never did, was to have a mentor. To me, the value of a mentor, and I've had mentors after I became a professor. I've had leading entrepreneurs and business leaders mentor me. That is invaluable. But you only get from a mentor what you put into it. So it's really important. And we'll connect all of you with a mentor. And those are elements that make our program not just unique, but also very special and very contemporary. Think about it. When you're networking with real entrepreneurs, you're also creating contacts. You're also creating job opportunities. So if you want to get a job in an entrepreneurial organization like Google and so on, you're going to make relationships up front. And then with your experience, I mean, these entrepreneurial organizations will prefer to hire you over an MBA because you have that specific knowledge and that entrepreneurial mindset that they're looking for.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it in the sense that, you mentioned that the modern student, the idea that education has changed in a lot of cases and the needs for students have changed and what students are looking for and honestly what students can handle from from an overall, not necessarily a rigor standpoint, but from a structured standpoint. They need to have the flexibility to take classes when they're able to, take as many classes or as few classes as they're able to, pick and choose what classes are right for them based around their skill set, and then apply all of that into an experiential standpoint so that throughout the program, they can take a look back and say, am I learning what I need to learn? Is there something else? Are there remaining skill gaps? Where am I at right now? And I think that that's something that we've really innovated in a lot of cases here. So I appreciate you shining the light on that.
So, Brian, you mentioned one point which I forgot to mention, and I think that's
Sure.
important. And that's the fact that our program is completely customizable.
Yes.
Because when you do an MBA, you have to take a set of core classes, marketing, finance, operations, all that stuff. We have some people who take MS in entrepreneurship who have 20 years of experience in, say, finance or in marketing. And asking those people to take marketing 101 because it's part of the core is, in my view, insulting to them, right? I mean, because they could teach our teachers in many ways, So I would say that it's really important to customize the program based on the skill set of the, of the applicants and their experience. And we customize the degree to each person. so that they get the most fulfilling experience here. So that's a good point.
Yeah, no, that's really great. I appreciate you adding that on. And that's something just so that students know out there, if you're admitted to the program, if you enroll in the program, I'll personally work with you to establish an overall degree plan for you. We will decide based on what it is that you're capable of handling from a stress standpoint, from a quantity of classes standpoint, how quickly you're looking to complete the program, what classes are more essential for you. And that's something we update on a semester by semester basis. So you're not locked in, you don't select your degree and then, sorry, you got to put your head down and do this. If life comes up, if you decide that you're more motivated and you want to really push forward, there's a lot of opportunities to customize all aspects of this. Speaking of which, I mean, that highlights something that you had mentioned, the accessibility aspect. You know, we have the program from a financing standpoint, from a customizable standpoint. Can you talk about how important it is to make education more accessible to students and how our program does that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, so that's really important. It's a huge problem in higher education. The higher education is getting more and more expensive and more removed from what businesses want. So I think there are two points when it comes to accessibility. And a lot of students don't see the second point. The first point is it financially accessible? So is it something that I can afford, right? And you can afford it for two reasons. First of all, our tuition is fairly low compared to the other programs that you might have investigated. Remember, we are comparing across high quality AACSB accredited programs. And we are accredited at the highest level. There's no other university in the country, in the world, that's accredited at a higher level than we are. Okay, so we are comparing across high quality educational institutions. We are one of the cheapest. Again, coming back to stackability, that increases affordability. Take 3 classes, get a certificate, go get an internship or a job, come back, do it over 5 years. You know, that becomes more affordable and more accessible. So you're not incurring massive loads of student debt if you do it that way. The second thing about accessibility is accessibility of classes, which I think we should emphasize here. Our classes are always available. So we don't promise that we'll offer a class and then don't offer it. Our classes are seldom canceled. And this is something very important that students probably don't even think of at this stage. But when you do, say, an MS in marketing or an MS in finance, you may find that the class you need is not offered in the semester you need it. And that scheduling often delays graduation. Because ours is completely customizable and flexible, we don't have that accessibility of class issue. So the other thing is entrepreneurship is by its very nature the great equalizer, as someone famous said, and that means that it is inherently welcoming to all people as long as they have the entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
And so that's another angle of accessibility that we should focus on.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, you speak about classes being offered at specific times, and just to reiterate for students, you know, we build out your degree plan. If you decide you want to go faster, we can add a class on to a semester so that you can complete, say, 5 classes within a year, if you want to do that and do this in a 2-year period in time. Or we can slow that down. Those classes will be available the following year. We just tweak that a little bit. And as this program continues to grow, there will be more options that are available. But for right now, the flexibility of these overall classes, I think, is a huge selling point for students. We've talked a bit about experiential education, but, you know, tell me a little more from an internship, from a networking standpoint for students. Tell me how this aids in the entrepreneurial study and how this would work within the overall program for students.
So yeah, I mean, getting internships, I highly recommend that. I mean, getting experiential knowledge, and experiential knowledge doesn't have to be internship. When you participate in an incubator, when you participate in our Rutgers Venture Fund, you're learning with other people. You make networks. It's experiential. Okay. Um, Meet entrepreneurs for coffee. We will arrange it so that you can meet just about anybody who's affiliated with the center, and all the top entrepreneurs in Colorado are. We can get you a half an hour session with any of these entrepreneurs one on one. Make use of those. Um, Now, when it comes to internships, we work with companies to offer internships, but the internships have to be mutually compatible in a sense that the company has to benefit from your being there for the internship, and then you have to benefit from being in the company. And we have, thanks to our board members, we have leaders in several different industries. And Brian, recently there was a student who wanted an internship in the cybersecurity space and the information systems space. So what we did was we had a lunch meeting with the entrepreneur and introduced her to the entrepreneur, and and they had a wonderful discussion about what her talents are and what job opportunities he might be able to provide. And I think that there's a good chance that there will be mutual compatibility there, and that they will make an internship, and a paid internship at that, work. So that's the way we do it. We just connect you, facilitate, encourage you, and then we also train you. So if you would like to meet with us first before you go to an entrepreneur and meet with an entrepreneur, we can provide you feedback as to how to do an interview with an entrepreneur and so on and so forth. But so we have all those resources available as well. But I think that's the way we do it. We connect people with companies, and then magic happens automatically. We don't force anything. That's, I think, an important thing. We don't say you must do an internship. You don't have to. But internships are a huge learning experience, and we recommend you do, but you don't absolutely have to. So it's all flexible even from that perspective.
Yeah, I think, and the point you're making is it's not a requirement for the program, but if you are looking for the experiential side, we have the contacts here in Colorado, and we're willing to make contacts, anywhere really, to set up an internship that fits within the mold of entrepreneurship, where there's leadership, there's creative thinking, there's opportunities for you to be helping develop ideas for a company. These are not paper pushing internships. So for us to set them up, for us to be able to approve of them, we need to know that you're in a position where you are taking on the experiential skill set that the skill set you develop in your classes, and apply them in real time. And part of the benefit of our current network of entrepreneurs here in Colorado is that they know that. That's what they're looking for as well. They're not looking for someone to come in, just clock in, maybe work on a few assigned projects and then go home and here's 3 credits. They're looking for an opportunity to see what your talents are, what your skill set is, and put you in a position where perhaps this turns into a job, perhaps this turns into an interview with a different company. No matter what, 3 credits are going to come out of it, and you're going to walk away with a really great work experience and a new contact that will help you long term.
I think, Brian, there's an important point also to be made here. Is that for some students, they don't want the experiential knowledge. They just want to go to the classroom, get a quick degree.
Absolutely.
And if that's what you want, you can do that. You can just come to the classroom, do the degree, do the courses, get it over with. But I feel that if you do that, you only get like 25 or 30% of the learnings that you could get if you maximized all the opportunities you get. So in other words, the academic part is only a small part of the learning experience.
Very, very good point. And kind of along those lines, there's there's often this misperception that entrepreneurship just simply means startup and just simply means starting a business and being a business leader. We have a lot of students who are in our program who have candidly told me, I don't know if I have plans long term to be a business owner, but I want the skill set that can, really separate me from the pack. I'm
Yeah.
curious from your perspective. You have had a long career working with entrepreneurs. You treat the department here at CU Denver within the business school like a small business of itself. But from your perspective, if someone is looking for a higher degree within the world of business, but they're not necessarily looking to start a company, how can this program benefit them as well?
Well, that's a phenomenal point that you made. 70% of our students don't start their own businesses. So the misconception is that an entrepreneurship degree is only for somebody who wants to do their startup. It's flawed because it's not true. The entrepreneurship degree, the main purpose of the degree is to help you cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset when it comes to business practices. In other words, you can think of business holistically from, think of if you do your startup, you got to do the marketing, you got to do the operations, you got to do the finance, you got to understand the whole thing. You cannot say, I want to start a business, but I know only marketing. It doesn't work. You got to know everything. Now, maybe you're not an expert at everything, but you know enough about everything to be able to understand what's going on in the business. Now, the other thing that the entrepreneurial mindset that we teach you helps you do, and the experiential events help you do, is to think not only holistically about all aspects of business, but also do so in an efficient manner where resources are scarce. So if you think about it, if you're a startup entrepreneur with no money and you still have to market, you have to be creative about it. You have to be thinking out of the box, right? It forces you to think out of the box and come up with novel solutions. Now, the same qualities that you need to have as a startup owner and be sharp in your thinking and creative are also the qualities that companies, entrepreneur organizations, and we have a whole bunch of them. Ping Identity is one of them. We got Snooze, CEO Snooze comes and speaks to our classes and hires our students. I mean, these companies appreciate that entrepreneurial thinking that comes from actually doing an entrepreneurship degree. And I know, based on my experience, that students who do an MS in entrepreneurship, or even students who specialize in entrepreneurship in their MBA program, are more likely to get a job in an entrepreneurial organization than students who do a general MBA or who do an MS in marketing or an MS in finance. And that's because companies value entrepreneurial thinking. It's called entrepreneurship. And wherever you go, even in school districts, the most boring, bureaucratic organizations, they're increasingly looking for people with that entrepreneurial mindset. A good example is about 2 years ago, we did this weekend program for the superintendents of the school districts. And they wanted to learn entrepreneurial thinking out of the box. And at the end of the 2 days of training, they came to me and said that was the best 2 days they've spent in a long time, because it completely changed their perspective as to what's important and what they should focus on. And so that's what companies are looking for. So the MS in entrepreneurship won't hold you back. It will actually help you if you want to get a job in a dynamic entrepreneurial company. And who doesn't? I mean, I wish I could get a job in Google. My daughter has a job in Google. Oh my gosh, that's the job I would have wanted if I was young. So hope that answers your question.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just to reassure viewers out there, you can kind of utilize this degree in two different areas. If you want to be a business leader, if you want to start a company, this is a great way to get started. In addition, if you're looking for a higher degree within business and you don't necessarily want to be in a position where, that pressure of starting a company and being a leader, maybe that's not where your immediate skill set is, that's okay. The skills you're going to walk away with are incredibly beneficial towards the companies that are hiring out there. Just a couple more questions for you, MP, and then we have a few from our viewers. One thing that we talk about, and this kind of ties in with what we've been saying around experiential education and internships, feedback is a really essential thing. And it's something that I think it gets lost in the idea of what someone learns within a classroom. It's more the experiential side. So many students come to our program with a great idea and with a big idea, but it's an idea that has been tested only within your brain, where you think and maybe you ruminate on it and you write it down and you scrap a few things, but ultimately you haven't gotten feedback, not simply from consumers, not simply from investors, but from experienced entrepreneurs who can look at an idea and pick it apart and give you the best bits back and forth. What do you think is so essential about feedback from an entrepreneur that students can receive from the beginning of their journey in this program?
Oh, it's so critical. It's so important. And let me give an example. I'm teaching a class right now. It's a fairly small class. The students and it's a class which is about business planning. And the students in that class who actually have reached the finals of the competition are the students who were open to feedback, and they took feedback and used the feedback to improve their concept. That feedback is by far the iterative process that helps you improve. And we just Brian, you were there. We saw a presentation today, and another MS entrepreneurship student, and when he started the class to where he is now in that one semester, I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal to see that difference. And I think because he was open to feedback, and you have to be open to feedback. I mean, I that's why my team, I tell them, if I'm saying something wrong, tell me. There's no problem. Tell me. Because it's important to be open to improving and open to feedback. But that's a critical. The feedback cycle is a critical cycle to an entrepreneurship degree.
Yeah, I think the point you make about, there's no point in your career where you are immune from feedback and where you shouldn't have it. At any point in your career, someone may come to you with, not necessarily a better idea, but a critique, an opinion, this and that. This should be considered, and especially when you're early on in your overall studies. Having someone who has experience, who's put money behind an idea that maybe didn't work out as well as they thought it would, but put other money behind another idea, and that's the one that did it. They've seen the fork in the road moments that you're going to experience as a budding entrepreneur, as a budding business leader, whatever it is that you want to do with your larger career. I guarantee there aren't a lot of programs out there that are offering you face-to-face time with people who are successful in this field, who can say, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing somewhat right, this is what you're doing wrong, and now let me tell you how to improve on all three of those so that you can avoid those pitfalls, but also grow at an earlier age.
Yeah. And shortcut methods. I mean,
yes.
Why are you doing this? Why are you opening a storefront that expensive? Why not go to the farmer's market? These are little pieces of advice. So good point.
Well, one thing I always tell students is, if you're chasing an idea, if you have a business concept, you're going to put a lot of money behind that before it's successful. And some of it will be your money, some of it may be an investor's money. And you have to be in a position where you're able to return on that. Why wouldn't you want to get that experience when the money you're putting down is towards your education? One last question for you before we jump into a few questions from students, because we have the climb coming up next Thursday, April 25th, here at the CU Denver Business School in the evening. I will send out an invite to all of our students here who are on the call. If you're available and able to come, it would be wonderful to have you here. But talk to us really quickly about the climb and about how this fits into the larger MS and Entrepreneurship program.
So the climb is our business plan competition. Okay, it's a venture count. It's like Shark Tank. So if you know Shark Tank, you know what the climb is. Students come up with ideas and then they pitch to a panel of elite judges. These judges are CEOs of some of the largest entrepreneurial companies in Colorado. They're either venture capitalists or they're just very, very talented people. And what happens is about 30 to 40, depending on the year, students apply, with ideas. And then we narrow it down to 6, and then those 6 make their Shark Tank presentation in front of the judges. The judges ask them questions. And at the end of the whole thing, we award a winner. And the winner is somebody who gets money. So we give actual money. I mean, this is not mock money, real money to the winners. So we give $10,000 to the winner, but the total amount of money the winner gets, the total amount of resources the winner gets, much more than that, because we had the VCs in the audience. It's a huge networking opportunity just coming and attending, because we've had a lot of students who never made it to the finals, but they started their business because of the networks they created during the competition. So the competition is the biggest of its kind in Colorado. There's no other university that does a competition like this. It's also the one that's inclusive. So we encourage students from other universities to also participate. So it's really important that we put our students competing not only, and when we talk about the word competition, it's not cutthroat competition, or, we are learning in the process. And what we want to do is we want our students to be the best. So we are training them to be able to be the best despite competition from other schools. And this year, I have to say that our 7 finalists are all from CU Denver, which is a wonderful record that we've had. In the past, we've had University of Denver students, students from CSU win the competition. I never liked that. I never liked that we lost to CSU, but it happened. And that actually elevates the educational process. So what happens is that the competition creates excitement, creates networks that feeds into theory. My class, for example, and there are several classes that lead to the competition and create that excitement around the competition. Now, we also know that if you participate in the competition, it doesn't matter if you win it or not. The fact that you actually came up with a business plan, a business idea, there was this one student who just got a job, believe it or not. He got a job in Ernst & Young, which is an accounting company. Okay. And EY, the Ernst & Young, was interviewing him, and he said, oh, by the way, they were talking about finance, and do you know this, do you know this, do you know this, do you know this? And then he suddenly said, oh, and by the way, I also applied to the competition, and I have a business plan. They never asked him another finance question. They said, tell me about the business plan. Yeah. And he talked about his idea and his concept. They never asked him a finance question, and they said, you're hired. Immediately, they hired him. And the reason for that is because here he can think holistically about not just finance, but other aspects of business. And that entrepreneurial thinking was what got him the job immediately. So just by participating in the climb, it really opens doors for you to get a career in an entrepreneurial company, if that's what you want.
It's absolutely true. And we've seen students get investment opportunities coming out of this because we have a large crowd that comes out for the event. We have a panel of judges and then a large part of our community. And all the things that we've talked about here in this conversation, we tick the boxes on them in the climb. You're taking a chance, you're really putting yourself out there from a business leadership standpoint. You're developing feedback, you're seeing what ideas work, what ideas you may need to tweak. It gives you the opportunity to really practice essential skills for entrepreneurship, like public speaking, like communication, as well as tweaking a business plan. So it's really, really great. And again, that's coming up next Thursday, April 25th. I will be sending an invite to everyone here on this list. I have just a couple of questions from our viewers here, MP, if you have just a couple minutes.
Sure.
Perfect.
Feel free to ask questions. I mean, any questions. No question is a bad question. So
very true. Very true. All right. So the first one here, I'm interested in international business. Can you tell me about any international business opportunities through the MS Entrepreneurship Program?
Yes, good question. We work very closely with we have a huge Center for International Business Education Research in the business school. And international entrepreneurship is a really common thread between our two departments. So I think we don't as yet have a dual degree between entrepreneurship and international business, but we are very flexible when it comes to students taking international entrepreneurship. You can also customize your degree by adding an independent study in the field of international business. And then you can choose from one of many study abroad programs that we have. We have a program to Barcelona, and we're going to be another one to Cuba. And we're going to keep adding international programs, all going to entrepreneurial ecosystems around the world. And many of those we do, oftentimes we do it with our friends in IB, so there are opportunities for you to customize the degree with more international business components. The other thing we can do, and Brian, you know the rules about this a lot more, but we could also do internships in international business companies. We could also potentially, we haven't done it as yet specifically, but potentially even allow students to take an IB course as part of their degree through a petition process. So you can really customize degree to have a lot more international business emphasis to the degree. Am I missing anything that you know here?
No, I would just say to students out there who are thinking about this, we have an international entrepreneurship class that runs every fall. My advice would be take that class. We can talk from an advising standpoint about our international education opportunities in Cuba and Barcelona, giving you two very unique views of entrepreneurship at the international scale. Completing those and then deciding, you know what, this is where I want my focus to be. That allows us from an advising standpoint to make an argument that you should have an international business component to your overall degree, and we can go ahead and build that out. We have the flexibility, we have the ability to do that. So if that is what you're looking for, that's definitely a field that we are excited to continue to expand in here as a degree. So great question there, and that is definitely something that's on my mind. One additional question here. With the program being fully customizable, will someone in advising guide me through how to choose my classes and customize our program? I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts just in terms of the unique quality of our department as well.
I have a simple answer. The first, simple answer is ask Brian. He will sit down with you and he will help you customize your program. And remember, our whole team is available to you. So you can always sit down with me anytime. I mean, just let me know. I'll be happy to do a one-on-one meeting with you to help you further narrow down what classes you should take. And we have two other people, Claire and Beatrice, who are marketing and operations of the center. But I'm happy to sit down with you, and Brian and I can help you with that. We can also refer you to other people who might be able to help you narrow down what you should be doing. Maybe some of our board members. So, yeah, that's the point. Somebody will absolutely sit down with you and make sure that we customize the program for you based on what you
Yeah,
need.
absolutely. And I would just add to that 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 is one of the unique qualities of our program. We are designed as a self-sufficient department here on campus, whereas if you were to do a general business degree or an MBA, you'd be working with a larger graduate advising team. Um, you get a lot more one-on-one. My ratio of advising to student, the ratio of people I work with is much smaller, which means I have a lot more time to work with students and really kind of dig in on who you are, what you're looking for, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what your ideas are as an overall student, and what direction you want to go in. So don't hesitate throughout this process to reach out. Don't hesitate to schedule appointments on my calendar, and know that part of my job is to meet with you both through the application process, the enrollment process, the degree planning process, and then as you go through your program to ensure if you're doing an internship, we're getting all that taken care of. If you're have any challenges with class, we're working through that. As we approach graduation, I have all that stuff, really, really well communicated to students. One last question that came in is kind of goes back to a question we had earlier. Is there any integration between entrepreneurship and design within the program? I'm very interested in designing business spaces as well as I'm interested in designing functional and inclusive spaces for business. This is kind of in line with what we had talked about with international business. We don't directly have a partnership with design, but it is something that we are constantly exploring. And from an internship standpoint, MP, correct me if I'm wrong, it's something that we could potentially set students up with where they have exposure within the design world, but also the business fundamentals, the entrepreneurship aspect of it.
Right, right. That's such a good question because when we think of design, I mean, we're not only thinking about designing spaces, which is very important, of course, but there's so many other aspects to innovative design of products and so on. We work very closely. I think I mentioned this earlier that I work very closely with the Dean of the School of Engineering and Design. And what they do is they got 3D printers, they can do a lot of design, and we work very closely with them. In fact, we are doing a summer incubator where they are going to actually come and talk about 3D printing. And and innovative design is something that's really important. So yes, we have the resources. We also can design internships, and we can also team up with experts and other schools to help you, give you access to tools that you might need. So totally,
lots of
yes.
different options, and based on the flexibility and adaptability of our program, we're constantly looking at ways to expand this. So if you come to us with a passion, that is something that we can absolutely explore.
And we can integrate design thinking into the curriculum as well. We do that without calling it design thinking. We are integrating design thinking elements into our courses.
Absolutely, absolutely. MP, I want to thank you for your time. Is there anything else you
Brian,
want to say?
I see one more question, which is, how do you take your business to another level and beyond?
Yes.
And that question, I think, is really interesting because that's what we are focusing on. We are designing a brand new class that will take place next spring, which Joel and I are going to teach. And Joel is the guy who invented OxyClean Orange Glow. So he's a great entrepreneur, and he and I teach the class together, which is, what do you do if you won the competition? You have a great idea, you have a great business, and how do you take it to that next level? This is also the theme of something unrelated to MS Entrepreneurship. We are doing this seminar series. We got a grant from the state, and we are doing one-day seminars for students, for entrepreneurs in the community. We always do outreach to the community as well. And one of the things the summer incubator that we are doing is designed for specifically is how do you take the business to the next level? And we get guest speakers like David Berzon is coming. David is the CEO of Snooze Restaurants. He knows how to take the business to the next level. So we are going to actually be having experts like Joel Apple, the OxyClean guy, David Berzon come in as resources to help with that. So if that's something you're interested in, this is the best program for you, because we will be also connecting you with mentors who have experience doing that. Right from day one, we can connect.
No, that's an excellent point. And I think, as we continue to grow this program, you look at our classes like innovative new concept development, business model development and planning, and startup execution, and really put yourself as a student in a position where you can come into this program with an idea and identify what the strongest points of this idea are, develop it into a pitch, develop that into a business plan, and then understand how to start that business plan up as an actual business and put yourself in a position where you're able to really succeed. So we aren't just thinking about all the components, that goes into business. We're thinking of the actual process of starting a business as well. So lots to apply.
Yeah. I think scaling small businesses is something that we are increasingly focusing on, because we're getting more and more students who already have a small business.
Right.
And so they say, how do I actually take it to the next level? And that's something we are excited about, really. Entering into that, delving into that in some detail. And I think, but, to answer your question, the first thing we do is connect you with a mentor who has actually done this. So you can just hang out with a mentor and you learn a lot about scaling.
Exactly. So lots of different ways to be successful. MP, I want to thank you so much for your time and for all your thoughts here. This has been very helpful. Thank you so much for addressing questions that are pressing questions for students.
Well, my pleasure. Anytime you'd like to set up a meeting with me, Brian, I'm sure you can arrange it. And I'm glad you came today, and I'll look forward to meeting some of you soon.
Thank you so much. We can't wait.
And
I'm going to give you all, thank you so much, MP. I'm going to give you all a little bit more information here coming out of that. That was such an excellent conversation with MP, giving some insight and some overview into the program. And like he said at the end there, he is constantly available. I'm more than happy to set up a conversation between you and him so that you're able to get more insight and more feedback from our program chairs. So just a little bit more information about the program, a little bit more information about who we are. So the Jake Jobs Center for Entrepreneurship, which I'm in right now, we've got a couple of really nice conference rooms here at CU Denver. We have an incubator space just behind me where startups and businesses are able to come through here and work on their business concepts and really work together as teams. So the Jake Jobs Center was founded in 1996 as the Bard Center. This was renamed in 2013 following a $12 million gift from Jake Jobs. We are an academic department, a resource center, and we are dedicated to fostering entrepreneurship at CU Denver. That is our main goal here. We develop relationships with local business leaders. We provide opportunities and support for entrepreneurship students to take the next step in their career as an entrepreneur. In addition, we offer the climb, which MP was talking about, and other experiential events so that you are able to drive forward your own entrepreneurial studies. The program itself is a customizable 30-credit curriculum, which allows you to choose any 10 courses in entrepreneurship which align with your interests, goals, and knowledge gaps. You're able to choose from a diverse range of courses, all focused on small businesses, finance, accounting, leadership, bioinnovation, and lean marketing, just to name a few, really gives you as a student the opportunity to decide what is it I want to learn, how do I want to get to where I'm trying to go, and really work on that as an individual. We also have experiential events that we've been talking about, the Climb, the Best of Colorado Speaker Series, where entrepreneurs and business leaders come to our campus and provide insights and give speeches to students, mentorship opportunities with local entrepreneurs, as well as internship opportunities for credit. You can take 2 internships for credit. So take 8 classes plus 2 internships and put you in a position where you're able to graduate. Speaking of the advisory council and our mentorship opportunities, we have some of Colorado's most recognizable entrepreneurs, innovators, and industry experts that are here to work with you, serve you, help you on your overall journey, help put you in a position where you're able to succeed. People like Joel Apple, the co-founder of OxyClean, Orange Glow, Kaboom, and Zadie's Deli. Karen Hertz, the chief barista and founder of the Holiday Brewing Company, one of the first and only gluten-free breweries in the United States. Sam Kumar, the CEO and founder of Cyber Sanic. And these advisory council members will serve as mentors for all MS and entrepreneurship students. We work with you to set up the mentorship opportunities so that you're able to get insights and assistance from mentors throughout the program, mentors who are actual entrepreneurs. And then finally, internship and networking opportunities can come out of these. From a tuition standpoint, this is always a big question that students have. So we have a 1 tuition rate currently for the program. It's $806 per credit hour. This is in-state and out-of-state. There are fees associated with the program, obviously. I've listed them here. These are based upon how long it takes you to complete the program and what the mode is. There may be some additional fees required, especially from an international standpoint, but we try to keep the costs low. Our estimated tuition cost for the program is $25,000 to $27,700. And the fees, just as a mindset, just be mindful, those are subject to change. Our tuition rate does rise on an annual basis, so just be mindful of that, but currently these are. From an application standpoint, so students are able to apply to our fall, spring, and summer start dates. I will talk a bit about deadlines here in a second, but from an application standpoint for domestic students, there's a short application and short essay questions that you need to answer. An updated resume we recommend, and transcripts. These are needed from all institutions where credit was awarded, even if it was just 1 credit. These can all be unofficial to make it a little bit easier for you. You should be able to get a PDF of an unofficial transcript very easily. There's no GMAT, no GRE required. References and interview are optional. They're not required for the overall application. And the application fee itself is $50. However, all webinar attendees will receive an application fee waiver once you have applied for the program. So I will work with you and I'm happy to waive your application fee ahead of submission. We have deadlines coming up for our fall 2024 start date. So our priority deadline for domestic students is May 15th, and then the final deadline is July 15th. So just under 3 months until the final deadline for the fall 2024 start date. Now is a perfect time to work through your application. I promise you, if you work through the application, get yourself in a position where you're able to get your application completed, we can get a decision for you within 5 to 10 days. From an international standpoint, and just responding to a question here, yes, there is no GMAT required for the application. It's not something that we find valuable for applicants of the entrepreneurship field. For international students, your application is the same as the domestic application. The only difference is there's a $75 application fee because there's a little bit more work associated with your application. That will be waived as well should you have attended this webinar. International credential evaluations, we just switched 2.5 months ago. These are all handled internally. These are not handled by Wes or ECE anymore. These are all handled internally. You just need to upload your transcripts to your application. English language proficiency is required. The TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, all of these work from a application standpoint. You will need to obtain an F1 student visa. I will be able to share information about that. Should you be admitted to the program, and should you enroll, I'll be able to connect you with our ISSS department as well as our OIA, so you can process those and be in our system. And the deadlines, so they are a bit earlier than domestic. So we are past the priority deadline for our international applicants for fall 2024. Our final deadline for fall 2024 applicants is May 15th. So just be mindful of this. You definitely have enough time right now to complete your application and put yourself in a position where you can have a decision ahead of the fall deadline. But now is the time to be working through that. And with that, that wraps up my presentation. I will open the chat up. Are there any questions that anyone has out there for me? Feel free to throw those in the chat. I'll keep this up for a couple minutes. We have one that came in. I have not been in school in 10 years. I've been doing some work professionally, but I'm looking for a career change. Would this program be the right fit for me? I think it's a really good question. I definitely understand that line of thinking. I would say yes, mainly because this program is designed for students, both who are coming right out of undergrad, as well as students who have been working professionally for a number of years. Even if you aren't, remembering what it's like to be in school, we'll work with you from an advising standpoint, and I will work with you to determine the right amount of classes for you to take versus what I would think might be a little bit too much for you. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. I would really focus on, is now the right time for me to go back to school? If it is, am I looking for more experiential education, or I'm looking for more theory? If you're looking for experiential education, we are the right program for you. We also offer really good theory, but ultimately the experiential side is really, really critical. A couple more questions here. Do we need to apply for financial aid before or after being accepted, as well as are there student loans available? So yes, there are student financial aid loans available. I can send you information about that. I would encourage you to look into the FAFSA application and complete the FAFSA application. You will not be able to directly apply for financial aid or scholarships until you've been accepted into the program. But I would definitely get familiarized with it. Again, send me a quick email. My email information is listed here on this page. It's brian.brinkman@ucdenver.edu. That's also got my phone number, website. I would take a screenshot of that so that you're able to have that information at a moment's notice. But ultimately, I can send you information about financial aid. I can send you contacts to speak within the financial aid office, just to put you in a position where that part of the process is a little bit easier than it traditionally would. And I got one more question here. What is your favorite part of the MS and Entrepreneurship program? So as an advisor working with students, my favorite part of the program is the experiential side. I think the business model development and planning class is an absolutely brilliant class that allows students the opportunity of is putting you in a position where you are able to test out what you think you're good at and what you think you want to do, and then have that meet reality, where it may be more challenging than you anticipated going in, or it may be better than you thought going in. But either way, you're going to learn all the lessons. And you're in a position where you get the opportunity to test out your ideas and meet people, challenge yourself, push yourself, and put yourself in a position where you get the feedback that you need to be successful in term. I think the climb is an absolutely phenomenal opportunity for students to really dive into what it is that they want to do and work as a group with other teammates to really put themselves in a position to put a new idea out in the world, which is super exciting for me. How long are the classes and how many credits is each one? Great question. So all classes are 3 credits, all of them. So it's 10 classes for the 30 credits of the overall program. In terms of how long they are, this is something I did not go into too much detail on in this webinar. I usually do this more in the program overview, but for the purposes of this question, so we are switching in the fall to an 8-week model. Now, each class will still count for 16 weeks from a financial aid purposes standpoint. It will still contain 16 weeks worth of information, but we are adjusting our overall course schedule towards an 8-week model. What this ultimately means is you will have the ability to take 2 classes each term and neither one of them overlap. You could take 4 classes each term and only 2 overlap. It really depends on your own overall abilities from a schooling standpoint, from a time management standpoint, and what classes you want to complete and how quickly you want to finish the program. I'll work with you to set that up, but all classes are 8 weeks and all classes are 3 credits. All right. We definitely went a little bit over what I was expecting. I hope that you're all doing okay out there and enjoyed this. Thank you so much for everyone for staying on, asking so many questions. I really hope that this was helpful for you. A reminder, my contact information is on the screen right now. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that. Do not hesitate right now. Go ahead, set up a meeting with me, set up an appointment. Send me over an email with some questions about the program. I am here at your service to make sure you're in a position where you're successful. I wish you guys nothing but the best here in terms of this overall program and in terms of the next stages of your career. And I look forward to working with you here soon. Thank you so much.